What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hello and thanks for joining us for another review. This one is for the 900 Global Reality. Angel's layout's the same as always, 5 by 3.5 by 3.5. For her, that puts the pin above the bridge and kicks the PSA or mass bias out a couple inches. My layout is 4 3/4 by 3.5 by 3.5, and that puts the pin in the ring finger and kicks the PSA or mass bias out to the side. Both layouts are simple, controllable, and continuous, not really trying to go for anything specific. Very readable layout that lets the ball reaction and characteristics shine through. I laid out both balls with the Storm Arc Ruler. It's a very simple, efficient, and effective tool. It's also pretty cheap too, so if you're interested in doing any experimenting yourself, I have the link for this in the description below. So the ball details are the S84 solid response cover stock and disturbance asymmetric core. Global covers give you some semblance of their strength with the number in the name on a scale of 1 to 100. So S84 is quite strong. It's currently their strongest cover, and it reminds me a lot of GI-17 from the Sherlock. I'm sure all you Sherlock fans will notice the similarity and pick up on that, and it comes out of the box at 2000 grit. For the sanded solid stuff, I really love to use the React-A-Scuff to maintain the cover. It takes the ball back to about a 3,000 or 4,000 grit surface. It freshens the surface up, gets a super deep clean on it. Now for this one coming at 2000, you might need to hit it with a pad after that to get it back to box, but 2000 is a little chalky for me, and so the React-A-Scuff really, it just gets the cover back to where I like it anyway. The disturbance asymmetric core is more of a typical ASIM. It comes in at a 249 RG, 052 differential, and an 018 intermediate differential in 15 pounds. It's a really round and continuous look on the lane. It reminds me a lot of the Rad 4 core in Storm's Code series, just not quite as strong. The cover and core combination give us something that's as strong as the UFO or proton physics, just a bit longer than the UFO and a bit sharper than the proton. We're here once again at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas on the house shot. Big thanks to them for always taking care of us. For Angel, the reality was more ball than was comfortable, but that's to be expected, and it gave her some much needed practice in playing deeper on the lane. It's also a good way to test out the versatility of a ball. Heavy oil balls aren't designed to cover boards, that's not the point, but it's also somewhat frustrating to have one that's too sensitive to friction. That really reduces the scope of use. If you only get a game or two in with it and then it starts burning up and rolling out when a little track burn shows up, it's really not worth owning, or it adds unnecessary equipment and adjustments. Over the last few years, Strong Stuff has come a long way in that department, I think, and the Reality handles friction at least as good as any other heavy oil ball we've thrown. Plenty of traction, of course, no way she could play the track or really anywhere close to it, but with her lower rev rate, angle plus the extra volume in the middle tends to hurt her ball reaction and hit quite a bit. You can see it suffer a little on a couple of these shots, but overall there's not really any energy loss. The ball isn't standing up or quitting, it's actually pulling up and continuing. Feel free to check out other reviews and validate the following statement, but I'm not sure Angel's been this deep in a review before. She's been close, and I don't think she's had this good a ball reaction if she has. Comparing it to the Honey Badger intensity, you can see how much easier the intensity gets down the lane. It allows her to play more of her comfort zone, and it gives her plenty of pop to help in the power department. It's nearly a perfect step down from the Reality. There might be another ball in between them. We'll have to see if the Zen Master possibly fits, but the two balls read fairly similar. They have familiar shapes, just longer and stronger from the intensity, but it's a similar idea, which will help make the ball change easier since you're staying within a narrower zone or scope. On the left side, the Reality is just too strong to play the track over here too. There's just no prayer. I snuck one into the pocket, giving it the super fade and fluff, but it's too much work. We start warming up around third arrow, and while it does handle friction well, it prefers staying in the oil as much as possible. That helps with the length and overall ball reaction, or putting the ball reaction in the most effective and efficient place. Heavy oil ball, lots of traction, so it needs that oil. It's counting on having that oil there to work with. Staying inside of it and feeding it through the middle rather than trying to get it outside quick and bounce it off the dry produces a strong, continuous climbing arc. It still looks good bumping the friction, but it creates plenty of its own, so it looks better when you keep it in the sauce. Not only does it handle oil well, but it handles angle well, extremely well actually. It has such a blendy and windy motion that it keeps coming from seemingly everywhere. Again, I prefer straighter angles, so I'm really just putting it through its paces here, testing its limits and seeing what it can do. There's no reason or need for me to ever get this deep, but it's important to understand what a ball can do and what it can't do, because you won't always be on fresh or optimal conditions. Comparing it to the Honey Badger Intensity, same story for me as it is for Angel. It's a really good step down. I can't quite play where I want or prefer to due to the friction response, but you can see it gets further down the lane easier and bounces a bit more on friction. Now, where the Reality likes being fed or rolled to the spot, the Intensity being quicker means I need to give it more room. Not a ton more, but with it being a little weaker and longer up front, it needs a bit more friction to get it going, and if I do get it in, it wants to sneak up on me too quick. Again, they're such familiar looks that they feel like natural complements. The Intensity gets easier natural length and a bit more shape, and with it handling virtually every zone on the lane as well, it can be a step down whether you're at second arrow or fourth arrow. On the right side, this will be important as you're forced deeper on the lane, and on the left side, even though the transition's slower, it's frequently important to bowl down and try to stay on top of the friction in the same zone. For the ratings, it's an easy 10 on hook. It's on par with the proton physics, though I don't think it's quite as early, getting a 5 on length, and it's a little quicker, also getting a 5 on back end strength. It's closest to the proton physics on hook, the RSTX1 on length, and the Insight on back end strength. It's a very strong and remarkably versatile ball, and the reaction says it all. Go back and watch it again with the sound off. Don't listen to me. Just watch the ball roll and pay attention to what it's telling you. We have 40 balls across 3 catalogs. I don't need to talk you into anything specific. I'm just trying to show you what this one does. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.